what's going on? Welcome to another edition of the Pantheon. It's pretty much just going to be an update, though. Clayton did a written form, in this new digital age. I try to do the videos when I can. So let me just go ahead and get to it. So basically, the overall thought behind this was okay, obviously, the first year didn't go off as intended, especially with the bonuses for how they stacked for running backs. And pretty sure it also stacked for wide receivers when the 40-yard was eclipsed or you got the 40-yard points. The bonus was never supposed to stack. So now we know it's either one or the other. It won't just like upgrade the prior achievement to the later, what is one of them, like a 100-yard game and then versus a 200-yard game. You can't, it's either one or the other, because if they hit 200 yards, they're gonna get that perk plus the 100. The 200 is not gonna then overwrite the 100. Hopefully you followed that. So that was the kind of like some of the issues we had last year, but we all played through it and none of us knew. So going into it, the goal, and this is kind of my philosophy and Clayton's philosophy, but the goal is for the league to be competitive and for multiple ways to win to occur, right? So the last thing we want is one person just being able to dominate, or a few elite that consistently just keep winning. So that was kind of the basis of this update. So when we were looking at points scored, and obviously, we've been doing this, man, how long have we been playing fantasy together? Like well over a decade. Like I think we're going on like 14, 15 years, might be longer. Like just trying to evolve. And it took us a while to get to the flex. We definitely were a little archaic how we started. And now we're kind of, just taking those liberties to try to make changes for the better. And hopefully that's what this year results in. So let's just go ahead and start, right? So we looked at kickers. The points allocated to field goals have been increased by 1 point. For example, if a kicker kicks a 20-yard field goal, it will now be worth 3 points. Last season, this field goal would have been worth 2 points. This increase affects field goals only and not extra points. So just, as a kicker, not really having a lot of value. Like a good kicker is great, but just trying to add like another dimension to how it can shake things up. Because perhaps, you didn't draft the greatest, wide receiver or quarterback, or, you get the point. But you do have a strong kicker that, shockingly is kind of carrying you through some games. So next, defense, special teams. If your defense now scores a safety, it will be worth 4 points instead of 2 points. Each sack went from being worth 1 point to being worth 2. A fumble recovery went from being worth 2 points to now 4. A blocked punt, pat, or field goal is now worth 4 instead of 2. If a blocked field goal, punt, or pat is returned for a touchdown, it will be worth 7 points. So that was, once again, looking at other ways to give teams another way to win, all just in the sake of fairness. Because when you think about it, right, like for myself, I've never had the number one draft pick or whatever, but I say that because it's usually a coveted pick. Like you get to go first. It's the one time you are guaranteed to get what you want, right? But at the end of the day, like no one's team is just going to have everything. Everyone always has kind of like a weakness. And I just kind of goes back to the kicker. Just trying to make positions that it's great when that position is great, but adding a little bit of extra sauce to it. Like, man, like maybe my defense can kind of bail me out on some close games or something like that. So some of the nerfs, you are now only. I think it's funny he called it nerfs. We were kind of talking about it a lot, about like meta, especially for those that play video games. And, whether it's COD, Apex, you see different guns go through different phases, or even something like Elden Ring, like certain classes, two hands versus single hands versus daggers versus swords. Like you'll see different buffs to certain areas of the weapon to kind of try to show players to play a different way, because a lot of times we just do what works, right? But if another category you never thought of is superior, it may actually kind of innovate and make people think a little different and create some interesting gameplay. So anyway, Nurse, you're now only allowed to have two kickers on your team. You're now only allowed to have two defenses on your team. Obviously, with the points increasing for both of those, we don't want good defenses and good kickers being hoarded, because I just feel like there's not really a lot of elite position players at that thing for fantasy. So bonuses, I already kind of talked about this. As you remember, the bonuses from last season stacked, which was a mistake. We adjusted the following. A receiver with 100 to 199 yards a game will get 2 additional points. If your receiver has a touchdown that is a 40 plus yards or more, they will receive a 4-point bonus. A running back, especially for me because I was eating off this running back rule, a running back with a 100 to 199 yard game will receive 2 additional points. If that running back eclipses 200 yards, he will then receive 4 more points. A 40-yard touchdown rush or more will be worth 8 additional points. So once again, obviously the rules in the NFL are set to benefit passing. So still wanted the true prototypical running backs to have an option to succeed. So that's why, the point reward for a 40-yard touchdown rush is pretty impressive, because in this league now, running is kind of dead. It's all about the pass, and the rules are set like that. So we'll see how it works out. Hopefully running backs aren't too nerfed. That's my biggest fear, because, we're already a PPR league, and I was just trying to balance it. So hopefully that's what me and Clayton did. All right, roster limits and changes. You are allowed to have 3 quarterbacks on your roster. You are allowed to have 5 running backs on your roster. You're allowed to have 5 wide receivers on your roster. You're allowed to have 3 tight ends on your roster. We've changed the way the roster looks. You will be required to start 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 defense, 1 kicker, and 1 tight end. There are now 3 flex positions and 1 offensive position, flex position, to give you flexibility, since we do not have roster limits in place on running back, wide receiver, or QBs. Oh damn, he even said this. We've made the changes to help improve balance of the league. Like many online video games, Apex, Wild, COD, we had to take a hard look at our previous season and look at what worked and what didn't. Obviously, the stacking bonuses made wide receiver, running back severely overpowered. I recommend going to the league score settings and reviewing the new changes prior to draft day. If you think any of the changes are bad, please feel free to voice your concern. So yeah, once again, more flexibility, more letting the player play how they want to play. There's many people, they might try to min and max their team, where they have this or they have that. Well, with more flexibility, if you want it, you could go in and just fuck, I'm just gonna run triple tight ends. I mean, you could do that. So just giving people more options to play fantasy how they want to play it. We know everyone has a busy schedule, whether it's kids or just your career, or maybe you're just, lazy and you don't feel like doing anything. The goal is just to give people multiple avenues to succeed, and not just prototypical, I have to have this position. And hopefully, like I said, this creates some kind of innovation, and maybe, we've seen in many years in fantasy, whether it was the wide receiver strategy or the running back strategy or the quarterback strategy, like these are kind of cemented in fantasy. Like kind of everyone knows, like people that just kind of double down on I'm just aiming for this position, I don't care about nothing else, and hopefully it works. Well, we're hoping that with there being so much more flexibility, you're not these archetypes can kind of be broken, and we can see some new innovation of seeing how people get the job done. So that's really all I have. Next video will be the drafting. Well, not drafting. I guess it'll be draft. No, it'll be more like a randomizer, what I did last year. So the divisions will be changing, and we'll see how, whatever the website gives us, where everyone goes. And that'll be that. Once again, just to kind of keep things shaked up, keep people intrigued. Last thing we want to do is, But like we all know, like when we hit that lull spot, like right before COVID, where kind of fantasy just kind of wasn't hitting how it once was. And I don't know because we tried the what do you call it? The not franchise. Is it franchise? I don't even know. Dynasty. That's it. Where you hold on, keeper league or whatever. We were experimenting with some stuff. So it seems like being stagnant definitely doesn't fit this group. So we're gonna try to just keep things shaken up. And you don't know what your division's gonna look like, and you know, hopefully that just keeps people more interested, more entertained, and that's really just it. So that's all I got for you guys. Yeah, I really didn't do much. Thanks for Clayton for the write up, precise to the point, and thanks for anyone that just chilled out with me, watched the video. That's all I got for you guys. Like the video, comment, peace.